When you start Autodesk Revit Architecture 2011, you are presented with this entry screen here. It basically asks you what you want to do. Do you want to open or start a new project? Do you want to open or create new families? Or do you want to access some resources? Projects, simple enough. They're your projects. That's what you're working on. Families may be a new concept to some of you, but for those of you who are familiar with AutoCAD, you can consider families as blocks. Pieces of furniture, components that you would add to your project are considered families in Revit. Resources, what's new. If you're moving, transitioning from a previous release of Revit, it'll highlight what's new. Help, if you want some help in Revit. And of course, some video tutorials that will walk you through some of the concepts of working within Revit. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to click on create a new Revit project file. This will open up the Revit interface for us to explore. There are basically four main areas. The first area is the working drawing area. This is where you will create your project. Now, one of the things about Revit, and I'm sure you're aware of the term BIM, Building Information Modeling, Revit builds a model, a 3D model, and all of that is managed, and you as the designer, as the operator of Revit, you view it via the project browser. So if we look at the project browser, which is this dialog box right here, you see we have floor plans level 1, level 2, site, ceiling plan level 1, level 2, site, elevation east, north, south, west. These are all basically pre-created as part of the new template. What they are, in essence, are cameras to your 3D model, preset. Level 1 is an elevation. Level 2 is an elevation. So are these particular ceiling plans as well. Schedules and quantities. You can create schedules and quantities, and when you do, they'll be listed under here. Sheets, when you create sheet sets, or sheets, the working drawings, they'll also be listed under here. In essence, this is your control panel. This is your go-to. So right now, I am looking from an XY perspective, a top-down view on level 1. Level 1 is also indicated up along top here. Okay. Well, what are these levels? Well, these levels, I'll just go to my northern elevation. They're elevations. Okay, and you can create as many as you want, and you can set it, and you can rename it. So if I wanted to rename level 1 to something more appropriate, like ground floor, I can simply just change the name, and I'll just move that back up there, line that. All right, so ground floor. So now it makes more sense. Level 2 might be second floor, or maybe the roof line. So what I'm trying to explain to you is that these are elevations, and these are how you reference. So if I double click on ground floor, which was previously level 1, I am looking at a top-down view at 0 elevation. To just above the project browser is my properties tool. So for instance, if I go to my home and I place a wall, I now have the properties of the wall that I'm going to place. So for instance, I can choose a different wall style. I can specify the location wall. I'm going to be drawing this wall based on the center line of the wall. It is going to be constrained. The bottom of the wall, the base constraint of the wall, is going to be on ground floor elevation. There's no offset. Currently, the top of the wall is unconnected, and I'm drawing it at 20-foot height. And those are basically the only options I can change at the present time. If I wanted to edit the type, or change a specific characteristic of the wall type, I can go in under Edit Type, and it brings me up the Type Properties dialog box, where I can go in and change everything I wanted about this wall. How high is, how the width, the height, the actual structure, how it wraps, and we can actually view it here in the preview. So I'm just going to exit out of that. But basically, I can simply just begin drawing walls. want to talk to you a little bit about the ribbon here. And the neat thing about Revit is basically if you want to kind of get out to the beginning of everything, just press escape twice or click on the modify. So I was in the wall command there. If I click on the modify, it takes you out of any command that you're currently in, or press escape on the keyboard twice. You can, while modify is selected, you can highlight a specific wall by window selection, left to right window, double escape to clear it, or crossing selection, right to left, mouse moving. And when you select it, the property dialog box gives you all the options as well, okay, to make some changes. And of course, if you want to delete it, I typically highlight, press the delete key, or right click and select delete. The ribbon up along the top, organized with tools that you'll need throughout the creation of your architectural structure and your working drawings. The squares with the triangles are elevation markers. These elevation markers are placed and they correspond to these particular views here. You may or may not want to view them. If we go to view and we go to visibility and graphics, we can turn what we want on and off. And this is based on views. So we can specify what we want on the ground floor or what we want to view on the roof line level. So we can turn things off. If we don't want to see the doors, we can simply turn off the doors on the ground floor. For those of you who are familiar with AutoCAD, this would typically have been done in AutoCAD via layers. So for instance, you would create a door layer and you would turn the visibility of that layer on or off. In Revit, you actually turn the visibility of the actual object on or off. And you can just hit apply. So for instance, if we want the annotation category and we don't want to see those elevation markers, we can just turn off the elevation markers, apply, and they're not deleted, they're just no longer displayed. In essence, that is the overall interface of Revit Architecture 2011.